Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. I am so excited because today I am going to tell you about our upcoming Mediterranean cruise and all of the different ports that we're going to go to, the excursions that we have booked, as well as in a couple of places I'm going to tell you about other excursions we've done in those places and kind of how it worked, so that it will hopefully help everyone who is thinking of going there or who is going there right now this year to be able to have a little bit more insight. And first of all, I would like to welcome all of our Let's Go family members. I am so grateful for all of you and everything that you bring to us here, so thank you. And also welcome to all of you who are new. We're really glad to have you with us. We would invite everyone here to please subscribe to our channel. This is, I think, the very best place to be if you want to know what all of the protocols are and just all of the handy things that you need to know to be able to get everything ready to be able to get on a cruise ship, as well as what to do once you're on the ship. And so first of all, I want to let you know that for some reason I love the Mediterranean. This is my fourth cruise here. It's my husband's second, and the other couple of times I've mentioned before that I went with our daughter, and there is something about that area of the world that just calls me back, and it has my heart, and I enjoy going lots of other places, but I think this is my most favorite of all. And so I am really hopeful that I can share with you some of that love today, as well as how glorious I think it is to be able to travel there. So first of all, I'm going to tell you really quickly our itinerary. We are going to be on the Regal Princess, leaving Rome on May 28th. And so our first stop that very next day is in Naples, then a day at sea. Then we're going to be at Crete at the port of Heraklion, which is the best port in Crete, just so you know. And then then we're going the next day to Kusadasi, Turkey for Ephesus. Then the next day on to Istanbul, Turkey. Then Mykonos, Greece. Athens, Greece, Santorini, and then we get a sea day, and then Kotor Montenegro, Sicily, the port there at Messina, which is so beautiful, and especially to sail in and out of there is so beautiful. And then we've got Kotor Montenegro, after Sicily is Naples again, and you might think, well, Naples twice. You can never go too many times to Naples because there is so much to see around there. And then you've got a sea day, and then we end up in Barcelona. And so first of all, let me tell you what we've got planned for our first stop there in Naples. We have booked the excursion that is called the Sorrento and Amalfi Coast Cruise. And what they do is they take you on a boat and they take you down to a town along the Amalfi Coast. And hopefully it will be the town of Amalfi. It sounds like that's the one they're going to visit. They have a beautiful, beautiful church there. And then they call it the Amalfi Cathedral. You'll get to see that. And then then you get to go on a bus. Let me find my list of everything, just how it works. And then I should say you do get free time there in the town of Amalfi. You get an hour. Then they put you on a bus and they're going to take you back, and driving along the coast there from the whole Amalfi Coast is so beautiful. And do your best to get on the side of the bus with the ocean. And so if you are heading back from Amalfi back up to, it's kind of up to Naples a little bit, as you face the front of the bus, you're sitting on the bus, try to be on the left-hand side is what I would say, because then you'll be able to see the ocean. But you know what? The inside is often so beautiful as well. There's not a bad view. It is so beautiful. So anyway, and then you're going to go to lunch at a restaurant in Sorrento. Then you get to have free time in Sorrento for another hour. And then they drive you to a cameo factory. And I'm wondering if it's the cameo factory that's right by Pompeii or not. So you'll get to see when you watch our vlogs with us. But there's a cameo factory right next to Pompeii, and I've been there every time. This will be my fifth or sixth time to Pompeii, and every time it's right there if you go by yourself, but if you go on an organized tour, they always take you there, and they kind of show you how they make cameos, which is really interesting. They show you the shells and everything, and of course they have cameos for you to buy if you would like, and I have bought one there before, and I meant to have those to show you. I'll show you that in another video. I have several cameos, but it is really beautiful, and they have really nice clean restrooms there. That's a key thing to know when you're in Europe. finding restrooms can sometimes be hard. So it's nice to know where there is one. But usually, you know, when they're on an excursion, they kind of help you. They plan that people will need those. But that's a good place to go for that, even if you think, I don't even want to see about a cameo. And the really nice thing is, like, they always have like a whole bunch of vendors set up outside of the cameo factory as well. And so you can look there if you want to buy any little souvenirs to take home for yourself or for presents. So that's that. So when I have been to Naples before, we've done a few different things. So there is an excursion, and I believe it's called Best of the Bay of Naples, and it takes your whole time that you're there in port in Naples, and they put you on a bus and take you to Pompeii, and you get to be there for a while. They take you on a guided tour, which is very interesting to see. If you haven't been to Pompeii yet, it is definitely worth a visit. And then they've got, as I just mentioned, that cameo factory right there. Then they take you on a bus and take you into Sorrento. And when I've been on those excursions, I've done that one 3 times because I enjoy it so much, that they take you to this nice hotel that has a look over the whole bay there, and you can see Vesuvius across the bay, but it's really wonderful. And then you get free time in Sorrento, and then well, different ways I've seen it done, and then they take you to the hydrofoil. And so Sorrento is up on the cliff, and so I've been on excursions before that have you walk down the steps. I've had ones that take you down some steps and then down an incline, and they do have an elevator for people that need that. I recall that. I've never ridden that, but I remember someone asking about it. So they have it figured out how to get you down there if you can't do steps. And so anyway, and then you get on the boat and go over to Capri. And when you're on Capri, if you haven't been there before, you have to take a funicular. You come into the like little port area there, and then you have to take a funicular to get up the hill, to get up to where the town is. And then they take you over, I think it's the Gardens of St. Augustus that you go over, and that's where you see the overlook of like the beautiful arch that they've got there, and it is just spectacular. You can see the ocean and the Amalfi Coast, and the gardens themselves there are so beautiful. There are 2 like viewpoints, definitely both worth taking a look at. And then you can just walk around. There's gelato places everywhere. There are gelato places, and if you think you've had gelato here, you haven't really. It is so spectacular there. A whole different thing in Italy, but in Greece and Kotor and like all these places. But anyway, you can walk around. There's lots of shops. That town right there is very, very fancy. You have like all the shops that you would expect to see like on Rodeo Drive here in the United States, very high end. But they also have like some other shops mixed in that have like souvenirs or like little like shirts or dresses, things that aren't quite as expensive, just things that you might like. Or you can go in the expensive ones as well. And then to get back down, they usually will have your group meet at a certain time, and then you have to get on the funicular to go down. And I just want to tell you that it is like everything else in Italy. There's not a line. If you wait to be in a line, you're never going to get down. So you just like, and I don't advocate being rude, like I'm not rude. So, but you do have to wiggle your way up and stand your ground. So they will just like go in front of you. People will just keep walking in front of you until you never get on it. And so you just kind of have to hold your own. And then when you're getting on the funicular, if it's at a busy time, it's going to be packed. And so don't think of things like we think of here as like, oh, that's going to be a little crowded, I'm going to wait till the next one. Nope. Yeah, get in there and just crunch in with everybody. Okay. That's something that I learned the very first time I went to Italy. The very first time I got to go to Italy was in 2006, and that has not changed. You still have to wiggle your way forward no matter what you're doing. And so I thought I'd tell you that. And then you just write it down to the bottom, and that's where at the bottom there are like little shops. I should say more like little booth things set up if you want to buy any souvenirs if you have a minute, but sometimes there's not a minute. And so take the time and grab something at a place up there if you want to have something in particular at the top if you can, otherwise do it super fast and in a hurry. I have done that before. So anyway, that is my very, very favorite excursion in Naples. We don't have it booked this time. But we might change our second one to that. We're going to stick with the one that I told you about. I'm going on the boat down to Amalfi and then back up. But I just am trying to weigh, maybe y'all can vote. So I'm trying to weigh in my hand. So you know what, I'll have you vote on that after I tell you the other one we're going to do. So anyway, the next place that we're going to stop is in Crete for Heraklion, and we've been to both ports. The one at the bottom is like called Chania, Chania, and we went there last time, and the road was washed out to go to Knossos. If you're not familiar with Knossos, it's an archaeological ruin. You can look it up. It's Knossos, and it is really very interesting to visit. The last time I did it, I've only done that one other time, we had a really good tour guide, but Gordon wasn't with me, and I think he would really enjoy it. So we're going to go there. We're doing, I should tell you, the name of the excursion is Knossos and Heraklion on your own. So we're going to go see Knossos, and then you get a few hours there in Heraklion on your own that you can do whatever you want. And they have the an archaeological museum there. I think it's just called the Heraklion Archaeological Museum, and it is really, really cool. It has like the originals of a bunch of the frescoes that they actually found out at Knossos and they moved into the museum to protect. And they have a lot of everything. They've got so much like art and sculpture and everything that is just from that area. And a lot of them, my daughter is an art history major, and so when I got to go with her, she's like, oh, that is in textbooks and it's here. And so there is so much to see. And so you can even zip through there really quick if you want. If you don't want to use your whole time right there in that museum, you don't have to, but it's worth a visit if you appreciate things like that. If you don't, then you don't have to. Other than that, our tour guide had walked us kind of to the center of town, showed us where things were. There's lots of shopping. There's lots of places to eat. In Italy and Greece, and Crete, of course, I always recommend try their food. It's remarkable. And it's really different than the food that you get here in the United States, unless you're like at someone's home and their grandma's cooking for you. Other than that, so you could sit down, watch the world go by, take a look at some shops just to walk around and get a feel of the place. But we are going to go over to that archaeological museum and then hopefully have a few minutes to walk around and get a quick bite to eat or something to take with us back on the ship. So that's what we're going to do. The next place we're going to go is to Ephesus, and we have booked a tour called Ephesus and the Terrace Houses. And I'm keeping my eye on to make sure they don't change anything or offer anything different, but I haven't been to Ephesus before. And I'm going to link a book before you. If you are a Christian and you enjoy reading about things, I got this book and it's called In the Footsteps of Paul, and it is really interesting because it covers a lot of his time when he was in this area. And so I am trying to get that read all the way through before we go. I read it one time before. In 2016, we were supposed to go, my daughter and I, on our cruise that was supposed to go to Ephesus and Istanbul, but the Turkey part, the Ephesus and Istanbul, got canceled because of what was going on politically in Turkey at that time. So I'm tickled pink that we're finally going to get to go, but I'll just let you all know how it goes. And like I said, the name of that port is Kusadasi, and so I'll let you know how that goes. And the same thing, the next day is Istanbul. Our excursion is called Istanbul Highlights and a Bosphorus Cruise, a Discovery exclusive. That's the name of what we have chosen. They take you to the Hippodrome, Hagia Sophia, the Topkapi Palace, the Blue Mosque, the Grand Bazaar. Of course, you get a carpet demonstration. You're not going to get out of there without one of those. A Bosphorus cruise, and then you get shopping opportunities and a meal. So on ours, the meal is on the Bosphorus cruise. And if you're not familiar with that region, you go from like the Mediterranean up through the Bosphorus into the Black Sea. Okay, and I am so excited to see that. And I love that the meal is when you're on the boat, because then if I want to get up and go look out the window or do whatever instead, I can do that. I really like to try food in places, but I never like how long it takes to have the meal in places. They always want to take like an hour and a half of your day to feed you, and I just want to see everything so much that I am really excited. That's how this is. So I will let you all know how it goes. You'll be able to see that in our vlogs, but like I said, we haven't been there before, and like in places like this, I always try to pick excursions that take up like as much of the day as they can and show you as much as you can, because then you get to see as much as you possibly can. And then if you ever get to come back, that's great. You have an idea of what you would like to see again or what you missed and want to see instead. But if you never get to come back, you got to see the really big highlights. And so that's how we do everything when I'm like trying to pick an excursion. That's what I do. And so that is what we've got there. And then we are off to Mykonos. Now Mykonos is an island, and right next to Mykonos there is an island called Delos, D-E-L-O-S. That's how our tour guides there have pronounced that. And what you do is, right now I think Mykonos is a tender port. I've been there though, like the first 2 times we went, we're on the Royal Princess, and it was a huge ship, and they do have a new well, relatively new cruise ship dock there that you can dock at. So sometimes that changes, but right now I believe it's a tender port. But they've got an excursion that takes you over to Delos. And what they do is they just walk you, you get off there in Mykonos, and then you kind of walk around. The city is right on the water right there. And so when you get off, you just walk around kind of to another dock once you get off the water shuttle, as they call them now. And then you get on a ferry that takes you out, and I just love it. So you sit up there on the top, or you can sit inside, and you get to see the beautiful water. You're closer to it than you are on the ship, of course. And it is just spectacular, can I tell you? And then you pull up to this little island, and it is considered the birthplace of Apollo in mythology. And it is really spectacular though, because they have all of these ruins that they have unearthed. And so your tour guide will walk you around. You get to go see all these mosaics in some of the homes and everything. They walk you there, and then they walk you to see other areas. There's a little archaeology museum that's just also on the island, and they usually, let me look here and see super fast if they give you time for that. Well, they don't separate it out. You get 2 hours and 20 minutes there on the island. And so they'll walk you around, and the little archaeology museum is really very, they've got things that were discovered on the island, and they put it in there. It's, oh, no frills would be what I would be saying, but it's really basic, but it's really interesting. We have zipped through there before. They've got a little gift shop and a little place to grab a drink or a quick bite if you're really hungry. And they usually give you, on the times we've been there before, they'll show you everything that there is to see, like the highlights, of course, and then they'll let you walk up there if you want. They'll just tell you what time to be back to the ferry. So then you can walk around and see more ruins if you want to, or you can walk up to where the little museum is and see that, and it is very small, and or grab a drink. They have a restroom up there at that archaeology museum. It was €1 the last time I was there in 2019. You just, if you're not familiar, also when you are in Europe, a lot of the restrooms that you go to, you need to pay. So just get some euro coins or save your change so that you have some, and then they'll just have an attendant there, and you give it to them so that you can go. And it's nice. It gives them a way to earn money, and they help keep it clean. And so anyway, I just love going there. I just love going there. It doesn't take the whole day. And so when we were there before, the first time we went, my daughter and I, we did a trip, an excursion that took us over to Delos, and then they walked you around Mykonos. It's called Best of Delos and Mykonos. I found it. They're still doing it. And so they walk you around Mykonos, the city there. It's a whole bunch of just weaving little sidewalks, pathways, and then they walk you over to those windmills that are so iconic. They're just what you think of when you think of Mykonos. They walk you over there to get to see that, and then they put us in past a church, and it's called the Paraportiani Church, and when we went it was closed, but they'll stop there if it's open, show you the town, and then they took us on a bus and took us kind of, I think it was pretty much to the other side of Mykonos, which is very barren, by the way. You'd think maybe they'd be a little lush, but they're not. That's just what I had in my head, but it's very barren. And they take you over to the other side to a monastery. Let me find that. It's called the Pangia Torliani Monastery, and it includes a meal over there. There's just like this little square area right in front of where the monastery is, and then there's this little restaurant. Oh my goodness, it was so good. That was a meal that was absolutely worth it. It was absolutely delicious, and it was really, really Greek food. It was so good. But the sad thing is on the day we went, we didn't get to go in the monastery because there was a funeral there that day, and so we didn't get to go in. But then the other part they do is they take you over to a beach, and let me see, I don't think it tells you the name of the beach here. This one doesn't list the name of the beach, so I'm not sure if it's the same one that we went to, but it was really fun to get to see and put your feet in the water. A couple of people did wear swimming suits the whole day so that they could go in the water there, and it was a really good excursion. But since I've done that before already, this time we're just going to go to Delos and see that, and then we are going to come back and walk around the city some, get a yummy lunch, or, well, I don't think we get there till noon, but we're going to eat, and then we're going to walk around and do a little bit of shopping, and then Mykonos is a good place to buy pretty jewelry if you like to do that. And then also we are trying to decide, we might get a cab and go out to another beach, and I'll let you know how that goes. But we are really excited to go to Mykonos again. Okay, so the next place that we're going to go to is Athens. And for Athens, there is so much to see there that it's really hard to choose. So we are having two thoughts. One thing that we were thinking of doing is just going ahead, and as soon as the ship comes, well, it comes into port, they say at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so I was thinking of by 6 o'clock catching a taxi to go down to the area where the Acropolis is. I have caught a taxi there before. There's always a line of them. And the last time that we did that, well, I guess the last time that I did that was in 2017, and it was only $20 from the port to the Acropolis area. And the Acropolis is really central to everything that you would want to see right in Athens there for the most part. And so you can pre-buy your tickets, and I haven't done that yet, but you can just buy a ticket only to get into the Acropolis, or you can buy a combo ticket that gets you into the lots of the archaeological sites right there, right close to the Acropolis. And so kind of think of what you might want to do. But we were thinking perhaps of doing that and going to the Acropolis and being there first thing before it gets super crowded, and getting to walk up and just see and enjoy all of that. And then the other thing that we wanted to do is I wanted to spend some time having some, at least maybe like a breakfast and a lunch later on in the Plaka area. I always like to do a little bit of shopping there. There are lots and lots of shops, and as well as there's the new Acropolis Museum is right close by there. If you're someone that absolutely loves archaeology, loves sculpture and all of that, that is an excellent museum. And then they also have the National Archaeological Museum that is, when we went, we walked there, but if time is of essence, get a cab and just go. It has so many remarkable pieces in that. It's a huge museum. They have so much sculpture that it is just close together all throughout the museum. It is a remarkable museum. And when we went, we spent the whole day there. It's when we stayed longer in Athens, but it is definitely worth a visit as well. So just kind of weigh out what you really want to do. If you haven't been to Athens before, you're going to want to see the Acropolis and go on, and if you enjoy architecture and the history there, you would probably want to make sure that you select an excursion that takes you to the Agora and some of the like the Temple of Olympian Zeus, the things really close around there. The other thing that we are thinking of doing is they have an excursion that is called Acropolis, Plaka, and the Temple of Poseidon. And they also have one that take you out to the Corinth Canal, and you get to see Corinth. So that is also very appealing as well. But basically what you get to do, they take you down to the Acropolis, they give you a tour, then you get some free time in the Plaka, and then you get to get on the bus and go down and see the Temple of Poseidon, and they'll give you a guided tour of that and get you back to the ship in time to go. And so that is also very, very tempting. So I've got to really think about that and figure out what to do, but Athens is amazing, and there are so many options. I will add that when we went in 2019, we just booked a car with a tour guide, and beforehand I sent them an email and told them all of the places that I wanted to get to visit, and she wrote back and she said that's a lot. And you know, they had like an outline of the places they would take you, and so I just sent back and said I don't want to go there, I do want to go, and I just said, you know, can I just alternate? They let me alter it, and they did a really good job of taking us to everywhere. And when we went was in July, and it was so hot. They were having a heat wave. And so it was really nice to have a car to get into. So they give you a driver and they give you a tour guide. So he would get out, walk us around places, tell us about it. We would enjoy it. But when you got to get back into the car, it was so nice that there was a car waiting, and all of pretty much all of the things that are right down in that area down there, you can definitely walk. But when time is of the essence and it is 100 degrees, and I'm not kidding, about 100 degrees, it is really nice. And so I'll find that tour company and link that below as well, because they really did a good job, and the tour guide was very, very knowledgeable. And he was so nice. We stayed in the New Acropolis Museum a little longer since my husband hadn't been there, and we were just tight on time, and so that driver just zipped us back to the port super fast, and really it turned out really nice. So I just wanted to tell you that as well. Now, next is Santorini, and so we are choosing to do Ia and Fira on your own. And so let me tell you this about Santorini. When you get to Santorini, there are like 3 ways, I should say, to get up from where the ship comes in at the bottom there and up to where the cities are, okay? So you've got the ramp that you can walk up, like the trail, that it's paved, but that is like, so you can either walk on that or you can ride a donkey up. And if you walk up it, I'm just not brave enough to walk up it, because everybody talks about all of the donkey droppings that are on the trail. And people have shared like that they have slipped and fallen down and got it on, like all of these things, and I just don't want to go there. And so that is one way. They also have a new tram service that will take you from the bottom there clear to the top, or you can book an excursion that goes early and they take you on a tour bus up to the top, take you on whatever you're doing, and then most of them end with free time in Fira. And then you can take that tram back down whenever you want. And the tram, unless they have changed it since we were there in 2019, is complimentary. You don't have to pay. I would say allow a little bit of extra time when you want to come down. Because sometimes often I hear there's a long line, and indeed when we were coming down, we had to stand in line for quite a while and to finally get to go. And interestingly enough, it was an organized line, but it was mostly cruise passengers there, and so, well, it was only cruise passengers there going down at that time. And so just be aware of that. So we booked the Ia and Fira on our own because a couple of reasons. Number one, they just put you on the bus, they take you over to Ia, and then let's see how much time you get free in Ia. Let's see, you get to have 2 hours of free time in Ia, and that's the OIA city. It's the one that you see so many photos of the white and blue houses and buildings with the whole caldera over in front of you and everything. That is there, and then they take you a half-an-hour bus ride over to Fira, which is the town where the shuttle, not the shuttle, but the tram is to go to back to the bottom to get on the tender to go back to the ship. That's a half-an-hour ride, and then you just stay in Fira as long as you want. When you're ready to go back, you do that. And in both towns, there are lots of places to eat and lots of kinds of shopping. And so there's ice cream, there's like cafes, there's restaurants, there's everything. And so to me, sometimes I'm in places like that. I just really like to drink in the atmosphere, sit there and enjoy lunch, looking around and seeing everybody and just enjoying where I am. When we went before in 2019, we did an excursion that took us over to Ia, but I think we only had like maybe 20 minutes or half an hour free time there. And then they took us on the other side of the island to one of the black sand beaches, and that was really fun. It was great to see. And then they took us back to Fira to be able to, and then we had free time. We stayed there as long as we wanted. But there's kind of a lot of different excursions. It's kind of something for everyone. So I just wanted to let you all know that's what we're doing. But take a look and see what you enjoy doing. Then in Montenegro, we're going to do one called Prost and Boca Bay. And the really cool thing to know about Montenegro is be up really early because it's a really long sail in. It's really a beautiful you know what, there is so much history there. Maybe if, let me know in the comments if you guys want more information than what I'm giving. But it's a really long sail in. You kind of go up and around and in and through mountains. It is just absolutely beautiful and very quaint, and it has a lot of, you get to see all the palazzos, the huge homes of a lot of the sea captains back in the day. It is just really a beautiful sail-in, so definitely be up early that day. But they also have, there's a lot to see there. When we went there last time, Gordon and I, we took an excursion that went down to Budva, B-U-D-V-A, and I don't see that as an option on this one. When my daughter and I went, we took another excursion that went to another little town that I don't see this time. I can't remember what it is. But I would say that what we thoroughly enjoy there is you have Our Lady of the Rocks Church, and as you come in, you're going to go by St. George Island that is very green with like a big, I want to say the word house, but it's a big structure on it, and just that is not open for normal visitors. It's just not. But you can visit, there's another island close to it, and that has Our Lady of the Rocks Church, and legend has it that that island came to be by the sea captains who would drop rocks, or if there was a ship that was ready to be sunk, sink that, and finally it got high enough to turn into an island. And the church there is really unique because it is where like all the sea captains and their crew would come if they before they went out on a voyage, and if they returned safely, they would go there. So much history, just a lot there. And so we're going to see that. And the really nice thing is, and I know I've been there before, but it's just thoroughly beautiful to get to go see. So they take you, and it's lovely to be closer to the water and go on the boat that takes you out there. Then they take you over to Parast, and it's very it's just a quaint little town there that you can walk along. There's a church. There is really yummy food there if you've got time for lunch. And there is also, which I should add, there's another excursion that also is just a little bit longer, and they do have lunch there. And so just wanted to let you know that. And then there's also in like right when you get off the ship there, I think it's a tender port again, I can't remember, but right by the dock as you walk in, it's a walled city there. Kotor is, and so you go through the city gates and you just kind of walk straight back, just like keep to your right and walk straight back. And as you head back through those streets there, you'll come to St. Tryphon's Cathedral, and it is really beautiful to go visit. I can't remember if it's €1 or €2. It's not very expensive to get into, and I think it really help them with their upkeep and everything. But that is beautiful to see. And in a square right there in front of the cathedral, there are lots of eating places. We ate there when we were there last, and it was really good, and get the gelato there too. But there's lots of shops, and it's just fun to walk around because it is just really such an old city, and really fun to see the architecture and everything. They have all these steps that you can walk up to the side of the mountain if you want to. There's just an awful lot to see there. The food was really good there, and I would also say that there is a more recently looking built restaurant that is just right as you come to the end of the pier there, and you keep walking as you're going to go in the city gates. It's just kind of to your right. It's before you, your left. It's before you hit the information booth. They have really good Greek salads. We've eaten the Greek salads there, and they're just absolutely delicious. So I can recommend them. And I am a little particular, but you know what? And I will try to do that again this time. But hopefully it'll be the same as it was before COVID. That's a hard thing to worry about. So then on to Sicily. So when you're in Sicily, you can walk around Messina. They have a cathedral there that is beautiful, and they have, so this is a handy thing to know. When you are looking straight at the cathedral, they have this really beautiful clock tower and everything, and a fountain. But so as you're looking at it and you look over to your right, there is a couple of streets that are heading off, and down the one that is just right there, and I'll try to video it for you so you can see. You just walk down the street, and on the left is this little bakery, and it has the very best cannoli. And so you're going to need to try that if you're there. But it is really nice to see the cathedral, and I love as you're walking on the back side of the cathedral, as you're walking up alongside the cathedral before you get to the front, it quotes it quotes from Much Ado About Nothing about coming to Messina. I just really like that they add that. But that is really beautiful. So you can see that. They do have the museum that has a Caravaggio painting in it, and you can ride the tram down to that. If anybody wants more information, let me know. I don't know how many people here want to know how to get in to see that painting, but I've done that with my daughter, and it was really easy to ride the little tram. But this time we are going to go over to Taormina. That is the main thing that a lot of people do there, and they'll just take you on a bus over to Taormina. I think it takes about an hour, and in Taormina there's a lot to see. They've got a really cool ancient amphitheater, and it is actually still used as a theater today. When we were there last time in 2019, they were taking down from having a beautiful music concert the night before. Just like big name people come there to sing, and they have plays and all these things. So that is really worth a visit, and when you're there you've got this extraordinary view. But and there's lots of shops, there's lots of things to see just walking around. There's beautiful gardens there that we've been to. It's just a really nice place, yummy food to eat. I think it's a really good excursion. The one that we chose is the late riser Taormina, and the reason that we chose it is because it is the one that ends up giving you the most free time in Taormina. So you can kind of decide if you've been there before what you want to do, but we really liked that one, and so so that's the one that we chose. If you want to know more about Taormina, you can tell me. They're really famous there for like their beautiful painted, and in Messina they've got beautiful painted like vases and plates. Like I got one time like a beautiful bowl with a picture in it. I have a pretty vase that I got one time that I keep flowers in. They have such beautiful hand-painted pottery there that if you enjoy that kind of thing, you might want to take a look. So that's really nice. And then finally, here's what we are thinking of doing on our second day in Naples. This one is just, it's just called Capri. It's 9 hours long. And like I said, I wanted to use up our time there. So so basically while you're there, you're going to, let me find the exact itinerary. So they're going to take you over on a boat, and they're going to take you not to the main port there, the one that has that's right by that you usually go to. They're going to take you a little bit more to the other endish side of the island and get you off, and then you're going to visit a place called Villa San Michele, and I have looked at that up online, and it looks absolutely beautiful. And I think it was a Swedish doctor that built it a long time ago. He kind of restored what was there and then made all these beautiful gardens and everything. And so it takes you about a half an hour to get there, and you get to be there for an hour and 45 minutes, and then you get to have a southern Italian lunch in Capri town. So it'll take you about a half an hour, and they say they take you on this island style bus. And so I looked that up, what I could find pictures online, and it looks like it's an open air bus and kind of fun. So we're going to do that. And then after you eat, then you get to have a guided tour and free time there in the main town that I told you about that we've been to before, where you can see the gardens, you can see the overlook and everything beautiful. So I've just got to decide if that's what we're going to do, which is something we haven't done before, or if we're going to change and book that other one that takes us to Pompeii and Sorrento and Capri. My big thing is all the times that I've taken that tour, it's been with this same phenomenal tour guide. She's this amazing Italian lady. I think she's probably about the same age I am, and she talks a mile a minute. She knows so much. She's absolutely delightful. She'll help you. She'll tell you anything. You ask a question, she'll tell you the answer. An absolute delight to spend the day with. You learn so much, makes it so much fun. And because the whole time on the bus, when you're going like to Pompeii and then you're going to Sorrento and just everything, she's talking and telling you about history and interesting things, and it's just really, and everything about the whole area and about the people. And so if I go and it's not her, then it's not going to be the same again. You know that saying, you can never go back. And so everybody tell me in the comments what you think we should do, because I would be really interested and I value your opinion. Other than that, I'm sorry this is such a long video, but I just wanted to give you a really good overview and tell you what I wish somebody would have told me before I went. If you've got any questions about certain places, please put those in the comments, and I'll do another video and go into more detail on things if you want to. That is very much a bird's eye view. There is so much more to know about each individual port, so if that would be helpful, let me know. And then also, if you have been here and you loved an excursion or loved something that you did, or know the best place to eat, or whatever you can share, we'd love that in the comments as well, or send me an email, because that will really help everybody going as well. And so I really appreciate all of your help. I can't wait to go on this trip and take you all with us, and we'll really look forward to that. So if you appreciate these videos, would you please give this one a thumbs up, because that really does help us out a lot. I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.